So I'm deciding if I want another cup of coffee or not. Be sure to join the Discord down in the description box below. Just making sure everything is set up correctly because I want to kind of get into this. Someone asked me this question, and I won't have to really speak too much on it other than just kind of go into what I mean. And I know that's kind of ambiguous, but again, be sure to join the Discord down in the description box below. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Someone basically wrote to me and said, "Hey Hersh, I'm really looking at moving to Tacoma. I've actually went there a couple of different times, and I really find it enjoyable and all this other type of stuff." But their big thing was, hold on, let me find it. Hey Hersh, over the summer I didn't get a chance to go out to Tacoma because of COVID, but a few years ago I actually went there twice in 1 year. I went to Seattle a couple of different times, but definitely went to Tacoma the first time just as a visit out to Seattle, and then later that same year I went to Tacoma, hit up the museums, went around downtown, drove around the city, went to the mall, went to different areas, and actually liked everything that I saw there. I didn't find any sort of issues in the city. People say there's crime, but crime where? Of course, there's your common stuff, but I didn't see any areas that would scare me. People told me that Tacoma is the hood. Where is the hood? I didn't find a hood. Not that I was purposely trying to find anything, I guess, but I was just driving around just to see how the community was. I drove through Hilltop. Seemed like a great area to me. Where's the hood? You said that people think that in Tacoma that it is folks crip walking, LOL. But I didn't see anything at all. Not to say that there wouldn't be gangs in a big city, but I just didn't see the type of crime and the fear that people want you to believe. Why do you think that people still have that view? That's what they were saying, right? And I don't understand why people have that view. Stereotypes are hard to dismiss and they're hard to go away. It takes a generation or so for some stereotypes to go away, and sometimes they never do. Tacoma is one of those cities where everybody outside of Tacoma thinks it's some sort of a big ghetto. They think the whole city is the ghetto. I mean, that's why you don't see a lot of big companies down here. It's because they think everybody in Tacoma is hood, and they think that this is hood. And I explained to someone else the other day that a lot of the people who are from this area, live in this area, or what have you, or even people who do videos. I see people who do videos and they live someplace else, and they probably live in some rural area or some extremely affluent area or whatever, the burbs. And they come to a city and they expect there not to be any sort of, there can't be any graffiti, there can't be anything. And what I find so funny is I've been to places where they were kind of the place, and you still see stuff. You see what I'm saying? You still see stuff that shouldn't go on, or crimes that happen, right? It's just funny to me. There's no projects in Tacoma or in Seattle that I can tell, unless they're a different definition here, and there's no hood anywhere up here. I've seen some hoods. I've lived in Indianapolis. Even Bowling Green, Kentucky has hoods. Here, not so much. I mean, I think the biggest thing people talk about is Hilltop. And for some, Hilltop is the whole city. It's just funny to me. And some people in Tacoma, Tacomians, want people to believe that because they don't want more and more people to move here. But when I say crip walking, this is what I mean. This is Dub C, which is a rapper, doing the crip walk. And this is what people think everybody in Tacoma does. Hold on. Oh, wait. I don't know if I can do that. There might be some echoes. There might be some echoing. So let me do it this way. Take that shit to LA, nigga. Skip it up down there. apologize for the language. They think that everybody, even the kids, they think that the folks, it's not funny, but the folks, it's funny, man. It's just funny. There's people. I probably can't finish this video, man, because it's just, that's what they think. They think grandmas and everybody here in Tacoma is like that. Right? That's what they think. They think it's just, one big, huge, continuous ghetto that stinks. And it's just, it's so funny. It's so foolish. And then when people like yourself come here and they're like, what? I don't get, maybe I'm in the wrong area. Is there a different Tacoma? I've had people, is there a different Tacoma? No, this is the one they're talking about. It baffles me. I don't get it. I gotta watch that again because it's just the funniest thing. People think this. They think everybody walks out their door looking around first, and then they gotta represent. They think that everybody here in this city of 200 and something thousand, everybody does this. That's what people think. That's what a lot of these tech companies up in Seattle think, that this is basically Tacoma. It's just the funniest thing in the world. This is Tacoma for a lot of things. This is what I mean by crip walking. They think that people do this. They think that people crip walk on top of cars like this in Tacoma. And I'm not saying that you don't have the skip that people do that. I'm not making fun of the Crips. I'm not making fun of anybody other than the people who are so stupid that they think that Tacoma is just one big ghetto. But it's not like that, right? Are there gangs here? Absolutely. There are gangs here. And there's gangs in every city of size. But you're not going to have that. Or, let me find something else. Hold on. I didn't even have to put it in much and it started showing it, right? Dang, I can't. Let me find a good. I mean, hold on, let me get this out of the way. And Indianapolis has some hoods. Okay? Indianapolis has some hoods. If you want to see, you won't see this in Tacoma. Okay? Now this is just one area. This isn't going over into play. I don't know if this is Hallville or not. I'm not sure. But you don't see this in Tacoma. Right? That's what I'm talking about. Let me find another one because this doesn't necessarily do it all just. You don't see that. This is Indianapolis. So when people say it's super dangerous in Tacoma, I sit and laugh and I'm like, you're such an idiot. I mean, I'm not trying to. What is that? You don't even, again, some of these places you don't even have to put anything in. If you want to see a true ghetto, this is how you know people who have never traveled outside of this area or they've been privileged their whole life. This is the ghetto. This is the ghetto. And do you have people that do this here in Tacoma and in Seattle? You absolutely do. You do. Absolutely. But to have a huge, like this is in Kensington Avenue in Philadelphia, you have a huge area where this is common. In Seattle, there are certain areas where people would argue that it's becoming kind of close, but it's not like this. This is not to pick on Philadelphia. Philadelphia is a great city, but it has the street has a long history. When I hear people say that Tacoma can't get anything because there's too much homelessness and there's too much of this and that, I'm like, but have you been to New York City? Have you been to Philadelphia? Have you been to DC? Have you been to Miami? Have you been to Los Angeles? Have you been to a lot of these other places? You know what I mean? Like that doesn't make any sort of sense. I'll put the links to the videos that I'm watching here down in the description box so these people can get credit. But bruh, really? You think that this is what Tacoma looks like? You're a fool. You're an idiot. Sorry to say it, but you are. People think that this is how Tacoma is everywhere. No matter where you go, they think it's everywhere. They think people are just, robbing and shooting. Buildings are falling down. Back in the day, sure. Yeah. But there's no place up in the Pacific Northwest that looks like this. And if people say that, they're exaggerating greatly. Greatly. It's not to say they can never turn out like this. It's not to say that it can't happen. But what I'm saying is that you do have all types of stuff that go on. It's a city, man. But it's not to this degree. It's not like what you see right here that I was showing. Let me find something else. Excuse me. Or if you look at New York City in the 70s. See, when people say ghetto, I'm trying to understand what do they mean. Are they just saying it's ghetto because there's black people living in the city? There's a small but decent population of black people and people of color? Or are they saying because there's not gleaming towers like you see in Seattle? Or it's not because you don't have, manicured lawns? Like what's the definition of ghetto? I question it because to me this is the ghetto. This was New York back in the 1981. Now this is whenever Tacoma excuse me, Tacoma also had a rough time. But you know what? Newsflash, a lot of cities in America had a rough time at this point because this was the huge crack epidemic. This is the ghetto. This is New York City. And it stayed like that. Not only in the 70s and 80s, right? This was kind of the case when they thought New York was going to be gone. The biggest city in the country, one of the biggest in the world. And they thought, are we losing New York? You see these burnt out buildings because it was insurance scams. People own the buildings. Big way to get money is to, basically burn them out, get all the money, walk away. And the people that live there have to struggle and suffer through that greed. That's basically what you see. People don't want to necessarily live, with broken windows and this. That's not at all. You don't see any of this anywhere in the entire state of Washington. It just does not exist. And when people say the crime rate is just so insane, we do have an increase in crime. Sure, all cities do. With COVID and everything, there's been a big increase in crime. That's not to say that we don't have things that we can work on. But when people sit and they claim that Tacoma is just basically this scary place, it's okay to work in. They treat it like it's like they used to treat Detroit and still do. Detroit is another city that no matter what that city does, it can rebuild itself 16 times and you're still going to have people that will reference Detroit. Chicago, they try to reference Chicago, but when they're talking negative about Chicago, they're talking about black Chicago. They're talking about the South Side when they're talking about something negative. But these places will never change the reputation of people. The one place that has kind of changed perception some is Harlem. Harlem, New York has changed the view of some because back in the day, Harlem looked rough. right? I went to Harlem. It looks great. That's not to say every area necessarily. I didn't travel every area, but they've made huge improvements in Harlem, right? That's the one place that maybe has changed perceptions, but places like Tacoma will never change someone's perception of the city. Never. Until they actually come here and realize that they have all of these outlandish thoughts that are just not true. And so you're right. It does not exist like that. Now, does that mean that we do have things like this, graffiti? Yes. That scares people that are sheltered. It scares people when they see one homeless person, they're sheltered. Or if they see someone that's unfortunately strung out on drugs, that freaks people out. It freaks people out if there's some trash on the street because maybe a dumpster knocked over or somebody didn't throw trash away, or sometimes you have a homeless person digging in the trash and just leave it all out, or whatever. Dog got in a can and, trash is out. That freaks some people out. Even though it may be one or two little pieces of paper, it freaks people out, right? Someone leaves a $3,000 laptop in a car and somebody busts out the window and take it, that freaks people out. See what I'm saying? There's crime of opportunity. There's crime of opportunity. And so those things happen anywhere. Someone, has a package on the porch and some idiot takes it. Right? It's normal, common living life stuff that happens. It's stuff that happens. But you don't have situations like this or schools that are crumbling. Right? There are real schools in the country, not here. But unfortunately in the black and brown community, and maybe that's why I see things differently. I didn't grow up in the hood, but I know what a lot of people who look like me, some of the struggles that they go through. There are schools that really have big old huge leaks in them, school books that their parents used, the desks that are falling apart, bricks falling off the side of the building. We don't have that here. And so for people to have some sort of silly interpretation like we're the butthole of Washington, it's just funny to me. It really is so funny because it's not that at all. You get what I'm saying? Like it kind of reflects more on that person than it does on the city itself. Tacoma itself is doing very, very well, but it reflects very much so the prejudices of a person when they think that way. It's not to say that everything's perfect. No. And it's not supposed to be perfect. That's the point. You get what I'm saying? There's supposed to be crime. Duh. There's been crime since antiquity. I mean, Adam and Eve, if you believe that story, it was a biblical crime, I guess. But yeah, there's always been, there always will be, there always have to be crime. Even in Japan and South Korea, where there's very little crime, there's still someone doing something they're not supposed to do. It happens. But in America, it's much worse in terms of our mentality and crime than all of this. It just is. So I think that to answer your whole statement, you won't find what it is that you're looking for because it just doesn't exist. The closest you're going to get to is there's some old buildings that are here, old brick buildings and some that are not, old warehouses that are just dilapidated and they're just sitting there. Maybe that's what scares people. Not everything can look like University Place or Great Harbor. You see what I'm saying? It's not supposed to be. And so it's kind of this coming to Jesus moment, if you will. It's kind of like, look, step into reality and understand that before you judge a place, go visit, just exactly like what you did. You didn't just go to the certain touristy spots of Tacoma. You went around the whole city. You went to the mall area, you looked at different areas. There's certain parts of the city that I necessarily wouldn't live in. That's no secret. It's not because necessarily it's poor or there may be more crime. There's hoity-toity parts of the city I would never even consider moving to, right? So you have to find what works best for you, but to basically feel like the city is this big crime bubble, and you have people who do videos, 10th most dangerous city in America is Tacoma, which is a lie. Or the 10th most dangerous place in Washington is such and such. And number one or number two is Tacoma. It's just funny. Of course it is. Most of Washington is rural. Duh. I mean, when you're stacking a city of 200 and something, so the ones that make the list, Bellevue never makes the list. It's the golden child, and people that is the place that no one talks bad about. But it used to be Seattle. That used to be, but Seattle people are not happy about it because of politics. Really, it's not so much about the degradation of the city in terms of like more crime and stuff like that. They don't like the politics. That's the main thing. Is they're not liking the politics because if we want to talk about places that are very poor, there's whole states I can mention, and things falling apart. There's whole states I can talk about, but that's not what their main issue with Seattle at the top of the list is the politics. They don't like that it's a liberal city, which is so funny, but they don't like that. You're in a liberal, very liberal state in a very liberal city, and there's people that don't, and it's the most stupidest thing. If you don't like it, move. You know what I mean? Like there's certain places I don't live for a reason, but I don't sit there and complain every time, trash wasn't picked up this week because there was a snowfall last week. Well, because them Democrats, that's what y'all elect, and it's like everything has nothing to do with the people in office. It's like it shows more about you, your lack of a life, that everything has to be narrowed down to politics because not everybody is in the same group think that you think. It's just it's mind-boggling, but they're quiet as a mouse when you bring up certain places. I can list states north of here and some other places around that's not from close to here that are just poor, right? I mean, it is what it is. They may be the most conservative places, still have a massive amount of crime, still have a lot of tons of issues. It's about politics. That's the reason why Seattle is there. But on the list, always, you're going to have Tacoma, always. If it's something negative, Tacoma will be at the top of the list. Spokane will be pretty darn close. Yakima is going to be up there. Those are the top three. The top three are typically going to, if it's something about grossness or badness or horrible or the devil, it's going to be Tacoma is going to really be fighting for number one in people's minds. Seattle will be in there, Spokane, and Yakima. Those are the four, for sure. You see what I'm saying? There's some others that are thrown in there, some other areas that as you head towards the coast and stuff like that people will throw in there. But they will, for sure, they're going to throw Seattle in there. Even though if you take Seattle out of the state, this state would be nothing, right? If you take Tacoma and Seattle out, you have nothing. It's just a flyover state at that point. Not even a flyover. It's not even a fly-to state at that point. Those cities as well as Bellevue, and really this whole area, the Puget Sound runs the whole state. Some people are like, let's just cut them off and let's join Idaho. That's cool. But you still go, it doesn't change it actually hurts you more. Idaho doesn't make a lot of money. You see what I'm saying as a state? It doesn't. It's just all fantasy. It's like instead of doing all that and trying to annex states and cut states, why don't you just move? Why don't you just pack up your belongings and move to those places? Right? I remember a guy, being ridiculous over the whole COVID mask thing and all this stupid stuff and, trying to tell me how to believe. And it's like, I don't care what your beliefs are. And I don't care for you to try to tell me your belief. I don't care. Right? And so he was trying to say that, oh, it's such a thing. And I'm moving to, I forget where he's moving to. And that's the reason why I'm moving to such and such. I'm like, okay. That's good. I'm happy for you. I mean, I hope you get there safe, and I hope that, the rental car that you use or the rental truck you use is working fine and, all that. Like, what else do you want me to tell you? Like, I'm sad that you're gone. No. I'm sad that, like, You decided to live in a state that's not conducive to your life? No. You see what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't make sense. So it's the same thing I say about Tacoma. It's not for everyone. It's not for everyone. But if you legitimately, there are some people where it could be for them, but because they're so paralyzed with seeing, you know, people of color in reality, or they go and they see a homeless person that's, trying to get their stuff in order, or they see a bag blow across the street, they're petrified. You know what I mean? Either you're a suburbanite or you're not. If you're wanting to live in a city, you live in a city. Clear cut. If you want to be in the suburbs, you live in the suburbs. It's pretty clear cut. Most suburbs are not going to be hood, right? They're not going to be urban. So do what you got to do. But to answer your whole point in this, you're right. You're absolutely right. There's not this typical scare factor here. And most of the time, like most places, even in South Central LA, in Compton, people seem to think that we're just like Compton, California, back in the 90s, whenever things were really, really crazy and all this. It's just like, no. Even Compton, California is not as bad as it once was. There was a big drug epidemic. And people who lived in their cush suburban areas or rural areas never knew anything about it. Nowadays, it's reversed. A lot of these rural areas and suburbs are chucked full of meth and prescription pills. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and whereas in the city, not as much, but you have a lot of it surrounding in some of these areas, even in some of the hoity-toity areas. Yes, you do. Cocaine too. So it depends on your perspective, right? It depends on your perspective. Do you want people to show it out in the open, kind of what they're doing, and yeah, I'm homeless, I'm down on my luck, and yep, I got some drugs in my hand, or do you want it where people are still basically stealing and cheating from people, but they're doing it through covert means and doing cocaine like in the bathroom? Same stuff, right? Same stuff. You just don't see it. And that's why when people talk about Bellevue as being such a great, wonderful place, it is a beautiful city. I'm not bashing Bellevue. I'm just bringing reality. There's a lot of issues in Bellevue too. They don't talk about it. One city that did, okay, so 3 cities, riots. 3 cities, Seattle, Tacoma, Bellevue. Which city did not have a bunch of riots and stuff being broken and smashed and all this back when stuff was going on? A summer ago or so. Tacoma. Newsflash. When the whole George Floyd protests and stuff going on, Seattle are burning cars and doing stuff, and one of the chicks that burnt the car, I think, it came from Tacoma. But all that stuff that went on and all the bad stuff, that happened up in Seattle. There was stuff that happened even in Bellevue of things being broke and tons of stuff happening and all of this stuff and looting. That didn't happen in Tacoma. Did we have some people that broke some windows going down Pack Avenue? Yeah. But as far as the stuff that you saw in some of these other places, nope. Even at the mall, they thought because this is the city of crip walking, that people would just invade the mall and destroy it. They put all these big, huge barriers around these big trash cans. You know those big industrial trash cans that load onto a semi? Those big, long ones. They're basically a big, huge construction thing. They put that all around the mall. Nothing happened. So my point is that it's just people's fear. It is a lot of fear, and that's why you have a lot of cities that have decayed so bad, is because of white flight and fear, mainly because of racism and discrimination. That's look at a lot of cities. The difference is in Tacoma, there are some people here, good people, that realize that that's stupid. Stupid. That actually celebrate diversity. That's what I like about Tacoma and Seattle, and yeah, is that they celebrate to a degree, Tacoma more so, celebrate the diversity. And so the people that some don't like it, don't get me wrong, it's not a utopia. But generally, you don't have people here that are just running away because of there's too many gay people, I gotta run. Or, oh, too many black folk, gotta run. Or, oh, there's not a Whole Foods right here in downtown, I can't live there. We're a real city. We're not pretentious. And if you are pretentious, you're going to have a hard time here. It is what it is. We're a regular city with regular people that work every day. They're very passionate about their city. And they're passionate about how wonderful this community is. And it is. But do we have poorer areas? Sure we do. But when you look at the grand scheme of things, even our poorest area of the city would be welcomed by some cities across the country. They would welcome that. They'd be like, heck, we'll take it, versus what they have. So that's what I mean. And I'm glad that you visited. I hope that, you end up moving here. We need a lot of good people here. Some people don't want me to say that. They don't want me to say, please move here. They want less and less people. But anyway, tell me what you guys think. I don't know if I flashed this up there before. I probably did. Been talking about 30 minutes. Be sure to join the Discord down in the description box below. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and comment. Give me your comments down below. I have people from Tacoma all the time sit and say, it's just funny how stupid some people are. And I have people who move here, they're like, what? Like, what? I don't see what they're seeing. And that's the point. You won't see what they're seeing. But anyhow, be sure to join the Discord down in the description box below. Like, share, subscribe, and comment. Until next time, I will see you. Take care.